都在家聚会是吧？初中同学、高中同学、大学同学，各种聚会。你是天天去健身吗？
没有，昨天去了，但是太多人了。然后我就
帮我要给你放这个。这边。
我拿不到。
Absolutely balmy. I just tried to find out for next week why is it that it's happening. Maybe we can say one of the two. I'll try to sort that out with the timetabling.
你伞我给你放了。这边。
The other thing I want to tell you is that from next week we would have a number of lectures which the first part of it would be given by my colleagues and the second part would be asking you to do some technical work. So it's more like a hands-on. So if you can bring your laptops and or potentially share one, then you would be able to do some of the examples as they go around. Because I think obviously to teach you some new programming tools.
周三才过来，去伦敦去那个阿森纳看球去了，好几天没上。行，他跟我一样。你们哪一科最难呢？之前考试。差不多是吧？
No, but my friend asked them.
哎，开。
要等好久。
太太过来了。
问题还是问题吧。你要再进来吗？
往过挪一个。好。
我们让他坐边上就好了。别紧张。你别吵翻了吗？别找人。有点10万，10万，10万一张。没有，换了。
你要过来，再一个。
谁要纸巾呢？我这有。
我们要不要磨一个？
不用了，不用了。啊？有熟人在磨。对对。够吗？
那这是好办法吗？最近那个微信打开照片生成嘛。
对呀。
是他问题那就。
真的是。
那个 video 也是，哇，我大半天才能打开。
10.53，54从我哪里出来？好吧。
一个你这个。可是蛮热的。我里面穿个凉的，然后穿个外有吗？不冷啊，亲爱的是，昨晚那个人还不惨。
那你？
来。Andy 呢？不来，不知道是谁。他是没有选这个。没有来。我感觉他，我不知道他。可能太多了，故事太多。我问他了，他说，我上午老公就来了嘛，他说我不去了。
安迪有这个课是吗？
哦，他说我怎么感觉？他说，
就是有事，没事就是有事。
对，然后就跟他说，好多，哈哈哈，
没事就是有事。
好，有车就在。
是吗？怎么一股椰子味？哎呀，我要面试田刚。
什么呀？
我要回去面试田刚。
找工作的时候。不是，现在
我没有投简历，我在投上网。
准备在什么地方工作呀？广州还是？
他也是国外的那些书和国内的书讲的完全都不一样。
你说翻译过去不一样是吧？
不是，就是国内的高校的编的那些教材。
这不都是翻译过去的吗？
啊。
翻译过去的。
就有些翻译过去的，但国内它的教材是不一样的。就国内教材就讲怎么插入单词、排序，我看到国外的这些完全都不一样。
你说算法方面的书是
吗？算法是一个。
国内还有，你要讲的都是那种最简单的那种算法。国外都是机器学习那种是吧？
国外它的数据结构上面还加的是很多它的那种基础知识，例子。
I think you can squeeze somewhere down there. Gosh, this is not good. what is it? We need a bigger room. There are a couple of seats available if you try to let your colleagues come in.
对，我们组的。
Anyway, I was just saying, for some strange reason, we are in this class for the first hour, and we move to the next one. Also, I'm circulating a register. You can sign your name into it, and if I can try to see for next week, if you would be able to have a room, which we do not need to necessarily move for the 2 hours. Based on that, there's one other thing is that from next week we would have lectures, which these lectures would be the lectures would be a combination of presentations as well as some hands-on exercises. So it would be good if you could bring your laptop so you can share it with your friends. So you can practice as you go along. The fourth thing is, I have noticed that hopefully if we manage to get all the lectures in one go, maybe, just maybe, you don't need to come on Monday morning. Is that good? Yeah? Right, okay. Now while I'm struggling with this thing,
什么呀？
can you just give me a minute? I don't know what's happening.
哦，泥不是这个泥是吧？哦。
我全名在
We went here yesterday, weren't we?
是什么？它是那个因为其他也不一样的颜色。
哦。
我好重啊！他的耳环。
他是我回去。
我已经回去哈。
我签着。飞对，飞香港。飞香港近一点。
便宜要吗？
是吧？
是吗？
机票。
现在已经定了。
对，我这是准备定了，飞香港。
对，飞香港特别。澳门也没有，本来想回家澳门。澳门嘞。
你中间回去了？没回去吗？
没有。把 cookie 删掉，然后重新登录。
好像我家里人过来，New
去哪儿？
就伦敦住了5天，这边住了4天，就回家，一共10天。我就陪了他们2天，都在考试。
那谁带他们玩？
我弟，我弟他们。
Alright guys, today the lecture is about the nature of the data. If I can get it up on the okay. Something, but it's actually showing me.
你那个8分那个老师留你了吗？你那个8分那个视频。
我的责任，我那个 receipt 告诉我那一趴是0的，是我自己没有注意，所以我是不能拿分的。
他说了吗？
什么？你自己没注意？
就是我们交了那个作业以后，他有给个 receipt，然后说每一趴的长度啊或者怎样，最后一趴是0的，我当时自己没有注意到。
哦，他反馈了是吧？
就算我错了，他可以给我feedback，但是他不会给分数。
影响不大，差个2-3分。
平均分是6分。
差个2-3分，总分你没差个2-3分吧？ 折合到手上。对，20%嘛，25%，1/4嘛。
那个分数就是25。
分这8分，你平均16、8分，2分跟别人差2分。
没有，就是25。
啊。
就是25。无所谓，有些事情还是要自己承担责任。
妈的，英国就是一直坑。
确实这个事情他也不好，确实他也不好。他说这样，如果我现在给分数，你是不是等其他同学的不公平？而且这个是我自己没有注意到。
啊？包子。
我们猪肉汤。
如果在国内的话，老师每次都打电话给你了。
对啊，就是不是那个加论文的时候，不是那个system的那个里面的那个他纯套装，他是那个打不出来的。这种问题，我现在就知道了。那没有可能我。
毕业的时候，我们都沉淀去吧，做笔试题面试，沉淀。就广东很多公司都要来沉淀。
沉淀是什么意思？
成都电子科技大学。
啊，沉淀是吧？对，沉淀挺好的。
对啊，咱俩过去。
我才不跟你。
咱我们刷笔试题对吧？交流经验。
但是你是后台，我是前端。
前端有很多都是做一样的题啊，笔试题。
对，不是你现在不是你，我没有。不是，我以前做性能测试。但是那个就是你现在你也不能完全分前端和后端，好多公司的话，你对，你得自己调啊，你得是不是？
前端我不会，我是很喜欢前端可以。
那前端的话，我跟你说，前端其实对那种设计感更强一点，是不是？
优化不是 UI 啦那一趴。对，
很大部分是 UI 那一趴。
但是我们。
你说前端只是说作为一个 client， 那
UI 我做不来。
有一些是写 JavaScript 的，是写接扣的。
那你应该做那个，你应该 JavaScript 前面 JavaScript 后面Node 点 JS 那一套体系你给它先弄起来，全 JavaScript， 前端后端全 JavaScript。
我闻到，你就是一个吧，你肯定是包子团模式。这老师这
多做题，留学生回去很多都是因为笔试贵的。
我现在在试点呢，我在
还是试点。
前端的呀。
可以的。
然后再做题。好，就。Very good.
Thank you. Right. Wait. That's too much of a let's start today's lecture. I'm going to talk about, and my apologies to you. Today's lecture I'm going to talk about the nature of the data. Okay? So, if you want to build a house, okay? If you want to build a house, what do? You design, you go and speak to an architect. Then, you go and look for your material. And then you start sort of building the thing together. Okay? So I want you to think about this lecture and your coursework exactly as if you were in a situation that you were building a house. Okay? So remember what I said to you yesterday. I said try to sort of define a problem. By define a problem, it means that you are trying to find how you would be able to create an app which you could possibly bring it into the market. Okay? Now coming back to my sort of like synergy of building a house, you go to the architect, you design something, and then you start looking for a material to build your house with. Okay? You can look for something like bricks or concrete or wood or whatever, straw. So in this domain of data and the application you're doing, the actual data is your building block. Okay? So you have to understand what this is made of. What does it represent? And today's lecture is all about that. So, most of the things that we do is start with a question. Okay? People just do not use the data. They try to either answer a question or tell a narrative. So, when you're looking at your system in terms of answering a question or building something, or if you're working for, let's say, home office and you try to process some of this data, you're trying to tell a narrative. So the data is the building block for you to be able to actually do that. So, as I said, most people use data to either solve a problem or tell a narrative. So, and as I said, the purpose is to define a question and be able to build it using that. So, you can use the data two ways. You can work top down or bottom up. So, when we actually trying to think about top down is that you understand what sort of problems a business could have and how you would be able to use that, your knowledge, to try to define something which is a loop in the market. Or you work bottom up. It means somebody comes to you and they say, I want you to build something for me. So you have to have this flexibility to understand from top to bottom and from bottom to top. Okay? And you use that with data. So this is what you call as a two-way process. And as I said, the data is using that for creating what you want to do. So yesterday, when we were cut short on what I wanted to tell you about the open data, big data, what it is that you have got a set of private data and you've got a set of public data. And I don't know if some of you heard on the news yesterday, there was a lot of discussion going on about how you would be able to access the private data and the companies, how they're going to actually release that. That was exactly what I was trying to tell you in terms of if you are accepting a cookie that you go to a website, you literally sell your soul. Because the company can take your profile, can take your data, and build businesses around that. Of course, what happens is, if you do not accept a cookie, you won't be going to the website. So, it is very strange way of sort of like trying to use something at the same time not being completely mindful about what is happening with my private data. Most people actually do not care. Because what they want to do, they want to just look at what they want on the web, and they want to have a quick answer and a quick result. So even if you have to sign something, or if you download a piece of software on your mobile or on your laptop, you just accept all those T's and C's, and at the end of the day, you expose yourself to a lot of things, but most people really don't care, because they just want to get of the immediate cargo. And the business knows that. So you are already, actually, funny enough is, that in the digital domain, your profile is far more accurate than yourself. So people who are actually analyzing your data, they know far better about you than you know about yourself. Because you fit in a lot of the sort of trends and patterns that categorize your preferences and your ideas and your practices and habits to a trend of people. So you might think that you are individual, but you are not. And because every single time you use your credit card, you use your phone, you go to Google, you go to Facebook, you build up your digital footprint, and you make this big data. So everybody talks about big data. You've heard about that. And big data is really, the terminology has come up only 2-3 years ago. And the idea is just literally consuming the data in the terms that we are doing that. There's a lot of complication in terms of the technologies that we would do, how we are consuming the network, how we are actually eating up all the bandwidth and stuff like that, which is very, very complicated. But what is important is that all of us keep on generating data all the time. And when you generate the data, this data has to be wrangled, manipulated, it has to be stored, it has to be analyzed, and actually it just has to be there because it doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps on sort of stacking up and up. Okay? So I showed you this picture from yesterday. I'm going to sort of like go through that. So what you need to do is, in order to consider any of these processes, you have to learn about the data. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to discuss among yourself what you think is data. You've got 5 minutes. Talk to your friends. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to make a bullet point here. What do you think data is?
What I'm telling you is
What is data?
everything is data.
没有，这是昨天那张 PPT， 今天那张 PPT 在我的上面没找到。这太抽象了，这个。Information is data。是啊。Data. Information can be collected and saved in the database. with a lot of metrics.
I think web architecture 里面的考试题目也
对，跟他这可能有那么一点点那个重合的地方。
We can use them to calculate some points,
你看这不是有吗 ？Data is the fundamental element of the information. 对。就是 information 这个，是吧？
我家里是打印机啊，我专门买的是打印出来的颜色，或者是
是什么打印机？
Come on, can I have a show of hands for people who said an answer? What do you think the data is?
information.
Yeah?
We came to the decision, we.
Data is raw information, okay?
Raw information on 原生。
原始信息。
Yeah?
Data is a collection of numbers, it's all incredible as numbers collected from observations of the real world. I wouldn't go so far to call it information. I think you need context to turn data into information.
Just 2 words. That was it, but I'm just saying
Lots of numbers.
numbers. Don't transfer my here.
Okay.
Anyway, since here is my cue, then I can have a joke with him. So, where?
么意思？
quantity 数量。
fact 事实啊。
Anyone else? Alright. Actually, I have to tell you that you're all right.
Thank you.
So, what is data? Raw information, lots of numbers, qualitative information, facts. Okay. But I think it's a bit like as if we are. So, what is data? Actually, data is a collection of facts, such as numbers, words, measurements, observations, even just description of things. So, the terminologies we use, obviously in this particular course, is open data, big data, qualitative, quantitative, machine readable, discrete, static data, dynamic data, and forget about the second part. But when we actually talk about the data, data is the fundamental building block of information, usually formatted in a special way. Okay? Data is also the information that has been translated in a form that is more convenient to move or process. Okay? Normally we use computers programs to actually do the data processing, or move the data, translate the data. So, data, we have got two types of data. We have got a qualitative data and we have got a quantitative data. So, the qualitative data is when you describe something. The quantitative data is when actually you count something. Okay? So you talk about how far it is from Southampton to London. That is quantitative data. It tells you sort of number of miles. Okay? Then you have got what is called as sort of quantitative data, is numerical information. And within the quantitative data, you have got two different types of data. You've got the discrete data, and then you've got continuous data. Discrete data is a number. A continuous data is something that can be measured within a sort of like a limit. So, if you look at the data in terms of the quantitative and qualitative, so you have got discrete data, and then you've got the continuous data. This is just one aspect of the data. Okay? The data is very, very complex. Everything you said is absolutely right. You mentioned about the information. I'm going to come back to that. Lots of numbers, which talks about quantitative data, then the qualitative data, and facts. So, here we have got a picture. You have a look at this picture of the dog. This dog is called Dexter. Okay? So, just by looking at this picture, what can you say? You say there are two different information, two sets of different information you convey. One is the qualitative data, and the other one is the quantitative data. So the qualitative data is that it's golden brown, it's got long hair, and it's got lots of energy, because it's just on this one picture. So you're telling a narrative with respect to the quantitative data. With the qualitative data, you say it's got 4 legs. You don't know probably, but it's got 2 brothers, and he weighs so much, and and has got so much taller. Okay? So, by just one simple picture, you're addressing 2 things. The first statement I made, you either try to solve a problem, or you try to tell a narrative. So, by solving a problem, you're normally looking at the quantitative aspect of the data. By telling a narrative, you're looking at the qualitative side of the data. But it could be that the quantitative part of the data supports your qualitative side of the data. What do I mean by that? Let's say that you are looking at the data from some region in the Antarctic, and you get these data, and based on the observation which has been done by satellites, you can say, okay, the temperature of this area is rising, so the icebergs are breaking. You only can do that based on the information you get, and then you translate that information into a narrative. It can also work vice versa. You can have a narrative, and then you can define that through quantitative data. So let's say, what do I mean by that? Let's say that you are working in the police force, and somebody snatched a lady's handbag in the tube station. They look at the cameras. Okay? These cameras are all qualitative data. Okay? Then they have to use and process this qualitative data to find one individual. So you're working backwards. So the picture I showed you at the beginning, that this is a two-way process, this normally is. So you have to have a bigger overview of what's happening. So, somebody says raw information, data, raw information and facts. Okay, so this is really where we're coming to discuss this aspect. So you have got data. Data are a binary number, isn't it? 0, 1. That's why, that's data. When you process this data in terms of, I don't know, something like information, this information needs to be processed. Okay? So you get your 0s and 1s and make an information on that. You make a packet of data, 128 bits, whatever. That's an information. But this information by itself, it doesn't mean anything. You have to extract some knowledge out of this data. And on top of this data, you get the wisdom. So there is this pyramid of information which is starting from the building block of knowledge and wisdom using data. So an example I can tell you is that, again, if you want to go on holiday to a place, what do? You go to the web, you start actually browsing the data, and then this data is the information that you learn. But you have to read it. You have to read it, and you have to extract your knowledge based on this information. And this increases your wisdom. It's much broader. Any questions up to now? Good. So, another aspect of the data, we call it linked data. And linked data is very important in the data science. Why is it important? Because we can try to relate different data sets. Actually, I think I should come back to this in a minute. Because I want to show you something before that. Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about. I think you need to know this. How many of you are familiar with MongoDB? Okay. So when you actually work with MongoDB, what do? You do processing on a data set, isn't it? A data by itself, it doesn't mean anything. It has to be as part of an information. essentially, the whole of this course is about what we call as data sets or objects. So you put all these bits and bytes and then you make a file. This file is what we regard either as an object or as a data set. Okay? So this is something I wanted you to consider before going through the linked data. So when we talk about the linked data is the data that it relates, not the data, but actually the data sets and the objects. So let's say that you are looking at, I think there is a bit of a confusion when they talk about data. They actually mean objects, because the data itself, it doesn't really mean anything. We're talking about data sets, okay, or objects. And these data sets, which are linked data, they can either be related to another data. So let's say that you are trying to find, again, going on holiday. What do? You search at the TripAdvisor for a hotel. So through the information that you've got in the web, because effectively web, if you like, is the biggest data in a base. It's just that it connects through different servers. And that is actually the basic idea of cloud computing. Because it is it's just not your server, it's somebody else's server. When you use linked data, it means that you would be able to sort of detect along different type of computers the same similarities between your data set and the other data set. So the whole technology of how you actually do that is really comes to metadata. How many of you have come across metadata? Good. So one of the things that you would be learning in this course is to learn how you would be able to program things using RDF. And my colleague Chris would be telling you how you actually implement that, hopefully in 2 weeks' time. He would quickly teach you about RDF and how you can actually try to link data, find data, and then try to look at the commonalities between the RDF. So, effectively, that is what happens in the world of the web. You search a common word which is within the certain context and try to find its link relations in another domain. Okay. So, data for computers. Now I'm going to talk about the actual physical understanding of data. What do you do with that? Coming back to my example of building the house, in order for you to be able to build your system, you should know what is going to be your fundamental block. Is it going to be brick? Is it going to be concrete? And you have to understand what sort of properties it has got. What sort of temperatures is it appropriate for the environment that you are living? Obviously, if you are living somewhere which is an abundance of bricks or wood, you prefer to take that. But is it really appropriate if somewhere which is flooding? So, if you are looking at the bricks, in this particular case, the data, you have to understand what does it entail.